Trail talk time. Out on this beauty of a trail. Lovely day. Got the sun beaming away behind me. Breathing in that fresh ass prana. Today I wanted to talk about the movie The Matrix and how it relates to us, especially right now on the planet. It's definitely one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite. You know, I really see it as being a truthful movie instead of just, an action film. So much beautiful symbolism in the movie that I could break down. But I wanted to touch base on a few points in the movie. They talk about human beings being used as batteries. They talk about these forces, taking control of humanity's energy and draining our energy, using us as batteries to give them their sustenance. And there are many different forces in the universe and in this world. One that's very interesting are what are called archons, what the Gnostics called archons. They talk about these forces that are essentially holding us back from awakening to our true self, our true nature, being infinite. And some have, related these forces to fear, which is a part of it, but I liked what I read in somebody's article about it being more about ignorance, right? Just keeping us ignorant of that truth. And in our modern world now, one thing that keeps us ignorant is all the distractions that we have going on. There's so much that's always pulling our energy this way and that. And it takes us away from looking within ourselves. We're always looking outside of ourselves. And being distracted instead of looking within, so that we may discover, the beauty within ourselves, the truth of who we are. And they relate these forces to the unconscious collective, the collective unconscious. And so we see there's a large collective force at play, and it is very powerful. But essentially, I feel the biggest thing that we need to sort of deal with is our own ego. Our ego is, afraid. It's afraid of what will happen to it if we realize who we truly are. There's a term called ego death. And when one truly awakens, to their true nature, it could be said that they're having an ego death. And of course, the ego doesn't want this to happen. So, if we're embarking on any type of spiritual path that's leading us towards this greater truth, then our ego will often start to fire things rapidly to throw us off of our path, to keep us clinging on to the ego and identifying with it, sending this constant chatter to distract us for its own survival, So we must be firm in our choice that this is what we are truly seeking, which is truth. Seeking truth. And this comes back to the Matrix. Morpheus, the wise teacher who takes on Neo, the neophyte, as his student, realizing he's ready to embark on this journey at the perfect time. He gives him two options. You take this pill, then you will remain as you've been, living this fantasy, living in this illusion, and believing it to be all there is. Or you can take this other pill and you will embark on this journey with me to discovering the truth beyond illusion, the whole truth. And so he presents him with the choice, because ultimately it's our choice. Morpheus can't decide for him. All he can do is offer him that choice, and should he decide to make that choice to go on this journey, then he's willing to teach him. And so Neo takes that choice, he makes that choice. And certain times in his path along his journey in the movie, he encounters a lot of opposition, right? And he questions, whether he's made the right choice, and of course fear starts to arise, but he remains firm in that choice that he made, because once you start going down that path, you can't unlearn that which you have learned. So once you start, discovering this truth, getting a taste of it, then there's no going back. And we've been sort of sold this idea in many ways in our society that ignorance is bliss. And that just makes the ego so much stronger, right? The ego fears change. The ego fears death, but the truth is that there is no death. For how can you kill what can't be destroyed? If you break anything down in life, you'll get to an energy, right? Energy. At the source of all is this energy. And even science proves that energy cannot be destroyed. Energy can only be transferred and transmuted. And so once we truly realize who we are beyond this ego, beyond all of our limitations that come along with this ego identity, this persona, which is the mask that we wear, beyond all of that which separates us, we realize we are infinite. We have no beginning and no end. We aren't separate from anything or anyone. We are all one source of energy. And especially right now, we have an opportunity, a beautiful opportunity to step away from all these distractions, to go within ourselves and to discover this beautiful truth. That which doesn't come and go. All of these things that the ego clings to, that we identify with, they are subject to change, right? If we think we are our name, well, this can change. If we cling to our beliefs, well, these beliefs can change as well. If we cling to our body, Well, our body is always changing as well. Through all of these things that change, that are fleeting, that can come and go, that are transient, we remain. And this is, the key aspect of the matrix of Neo's awakening, of his journey, is he must release all of these beliefs that he's held on to his whole life about who he is and about what this life is. Those beliefs are what shape our reality. And so often we're holding on to so many beliefs that are limiting us in so many ways. And so when we start to take the time to go within and we discover that stillness, that ever-present force or source of energy, then we will start to realize that so much that we have learned in our life, so much that we've held on to so tightly as truth, may not actually be true. And it's so beautiful realizing that we have nothing to fear in this life, not even death. For death is just a part of life. I've spoken about these topics in other videos and about experiences that I've had, being guided by this amazing teacher, spiritual master named Muji. And he has videos of his satsangs on YouTube, which is where I started to learn from. And it's so simple. That's the beauty of it. You don't need to do anything just to be yourself, right? Like, who are we beyond these concepts of who we are, right? Who are we beyond these ideas of who we are, beyond these labels? Do we need to give ourselves a label in order to be? Do we need to give ourselves a name in order to be? Do we need to try or put in any effort to simply be. So these types of questions are very useful in coming into that awareness, right? When we go beyond all of these concepts, all of these ideas and beliefs, what we're left with is this awareness, this consciousness. And Muji would ask, is this consciousness based in time? Did it start somewhere? Can this awareness really have an ending? Does it have a shape? Does it have a form? Does it have a color, a smell? Can you touch it? Can you taste it? Can you hold it in your hands? What's the size? Can you measure it? And the answer to all these being no will show you, well, if this is remaining beyond all of these things, then I truly must not be anything that you can measure. I must be something beyond time. Beyond form, beyond limitation. And so I want to invite all of you to look within yourself, just to be with yourself. And start to ask these deeper questions. Because what you can discover is the most beautiful discovery that can't be explained by any words. But the experience is the most beautiful experience. To not be held by any rigidness, to not be weighed down to not be limited by fear, but to be so expansive that There is no beginning or end. So that's all I wanted to share for today. Beyond anything else that I ever share in this channel, this I feel is the most important for us to truly discover who we are. Once you do, life becomes so simple. Life becomes a play as it's meant to be. Right? Shakespeare said, "All the world's indeed a stage, and we are merely players." So who is it that's beyond all of these different roles that we can play? I'll leave that question with you. Have an amazing day, and enjoy the beauty of this wonderful discovery. Peace, limitless love.